Okay, first things first, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Bryan for tagging me in Talk About Tamiya. So this is the Tamiya I've chosen to talk about. This was my very first Tamiya, which I got about 4 years ago. For those of you who don't know, it's a Ford F350 high lift, and it's a four-wheel drive. It comes with a 3-speed transmission. It's got a hard plastic body. It comes with leaf springs as opposed to a 4-link suspension, and the shock absorbers are actually sprung as opposed to oil. Now this makes for a not brilliant suspension system, quite stiff. However, for scale, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now this is classed as one of the high-end Tamiyas, and one of the things that was actually wrong with it was the front steering had been, well, upgraded. Now the front servo had been mounted on a metal plate which then was mounted onto the front axle. Unfortunately, the top of that servo was hitting the bottom of the gear selector servo, which is just above it. So consequently, I had hardly any travel whatsoever at the front end. The steering worked absolutely fine, but like I said, as far as travelling the suspension, there was practically nothing there at all. Included in the sale was a bag of parts, and amongst those were some of the original steering links and various other bits and bobs. But at the time I didn't have the knowledge to revert it back to its original steering, so I just ran it as it was. However, 4 years on, I pulled it out of the cupboard, studied the manual, had a look at the parts, and it turned out that I had everything there to revert it back to its original steering. The original steering servo and part of the linkage was still actually installed onto the chassis, and it was just a case of taking the old steering system out and hooking up a few of the links, and hey presto, back to original. Right, as I mentioned before, it has a 3-speed gearbox, and unlike the Bruiser chassis or the Mountaineer chassis, it's actually 4-wheel drive in all of the gears. I'll just pop it up on this piece of wood and demonstrate what I'm talking about. Okay, now to run this, I use this Footbar T40XA 4-channel transmitter. Now I'm not used to using a stick transmitter, and the one thing I like about this is the previous owner had fitted this steering gate, and this is absolutely priceless for helping me change gear. It's really helpful. Now, as I said before, the high lift actually is 4-wheel drive in all the gears, and I'll just show you that now. So this is what low gear, and then what I call middle gear, and then high gear. So I'll just go through those again. So we go back down to low gear, middle gear, and then high gear. And as you can see, 4-wheel drive in all the gears. Oh, and yes, the steering does work with the original links. Right, the other thing that I want to show you, and this is more specifically for Pete Wiley, is my lovely LEDs. I thought you'd like that, Pete. Oh, just so you're not disappointed, I have them in my rear too. So there we have it, my Ford F350 high lift, my first Tamiya, and again I'd like to thank Bryan for tagging me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.